No data, no problem. Zabu allows you to buy or sell securities on the Altex exchange from anywhere in Uganda via USSD. Step 1. To buy, dial *292#. Step 2. Select buy. Step 3. Select the product you would like to buy. For example, bonds. Step 4. Select your preferred maturity year. Step 5. Select the bond you would like to buy. Step 6. Input an amount of 15,000 Ugandan shillings or more. Step 7. Your order has been forwarded for processing. And finally, Step 8. Your order has been confirmed.
And there you have it with Zabu. Zabu says, my money, my future. Well, pretty much, welcome on board to Smart24 TV. The 30th of March does come on a Thursday, and obviously by the time we shall be clicking to Friday tomorrow, everything will be so well. Okay, I hope you're doing fine, because we are here on Smart24 TV, driving your business. And as a matter of fact, as we kickstart off your business today, there's a lot you definitely need to know about what is happening. And of course, Zabu, that has ushered you into our first Kickstarter in there, reminding you to invest heavily. But of course, as we start off the day, yesterday, the tourism sector, the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, revealed their post-COVID-19 recovery report, which clearly showed that accommodation, beverages, and of course all those who are into the sector, especially those rotating around hospitality, have pushed or have been the pull for the revenues in the past 2 years. Of course, in the tourism sector as well, the Minister of Tourism, that is Honorable Butime, did reveal that it's also very fundamental to know that with the government's push for the parish development model, it should be one of those key main drivers as well in the tourism industry, especially in areas with tour sites, those areas within the region or up country. Of course, those are some of the key things that were highlighted while this particular report was being presented. So first and foremost, as we're getting into our first update, this time we're taking us into the performance of the tourism industry post-COVID.
Tourism gives self-employment. It enables our people in the rural community to participate in tourism. Yeah. But now, with PDM, Parish Development Model, where every parish now will be given 100 million per year per parish. The beneficiaries of that 100 million should be able to participate now, isn't it, in this self-employment. In other words, there will be more capacity now at parish level for our people to be able to sell tomatoes, fruits, souvenirs, isn't it? Cultural objects and all that kind of thing along the road. Along the road. I'm talking of the Masindi, Hoima, Kagadi, Kienjojo, Fort Portal, up to Queen Elizabeth, isn't it? I'm talking of Kitgum, Gulu, up to Kampala. There should be things to buy, and our people in the villages should have that capacity now under the PDM, Parish Development Model, to have capacity to produce, purchase things, and sell them. So it's very, very important. I know that here there are more critics, I think, of the PDM than those who support it.
One of the things that I loved the most in this report was the highlight of the government, that they're going to train more private sector actors in capacity building, training, to be able to serve the guests. Government can put into place all these laws, but the private sector, this is a private sector driven industry. So if you ignore the private sector, you're not doing anything much. So that's why I love this today, that the government did invite us, the private sector. The private sector is really taken care of in this report, and we hope to have very many more supportive laws. We need to have these laws which are pending, the Museum Act, the Tourism Act, reviewed and actually start to be implemented, so that even we as the private sector can have some of the things implemented. So for instance, we urgently need the tourism development levy. We need to be able to train our people. Training is expensive. We cannot do it on our own as private sector. We cannot do it as government. But if we work hand in hand, we can be able to collect money from the private sector that can come back to the private sector and be able to help in training, in skills development, and in.
Well, she has mentioned something to do with the private sector, which can easily grow Uganda's economy. Because by the look of things here, ideally, first of all, the private sector is the one that is employing quite a number of the tourism players. We have those who actually operate as pretty much, let's say, tour guides. Others are operating as, let's say, tour companies, and all of these particular people who actually end up into this kind of set, for example, make it very easier for the entire personalities in the tourism sector. Because according to the Ministry of Tourism, though, Uganda Wildlife Center and of course the other tourism players have unveiled insights into the sector performance. Because according to the report, the 2.7 trillion shillings was collected from visitor exports, with the bigger incomes of course coming in from accommodation, there is food, there is transport. And if we have to mention about transport, Uganda does maintain what you could definitely say it is pretty much a distinct kind of situation, which is giving more of the players a chance to take part in the tourism sector. But of course, as we continue to give you more of these updates, you realize that in the last 2 years, especially the 2020 to 2021 financial year, there was a very big challenge simply because of the travel restrictions that were being put in place. These travel restrictions made it really difficult for most of the players in the tourism sector to definitely have more money or to generate revenues in that particular space. And of course, that made it quite hard for all the players within the sector, simply because of the fact that during COVID, no other country was allowing the citizens to move. And for our tourism sector, for example, in Uganda, was mainly benefiting from the foreign tourists coming in. And the local tourists made it really difficult for those who are coming in. Well, of course, with the tourism industry, you get to realize that some of the other insights that were unveiled reported that at least 2.7 trillion shillings was collected from visitor exports, with big incomes coming in from food and then transport. And for all those who are actually wondering how Uganda's tourism industry has been shaped up in the last 10 or 20 years back, you get to realize it was centered around foreigners who are coming into the country. These foreigners ideally were making sure that they were bringing in more money. And bringing in more money, which includes US dollars, you look at the foreign currencies that were coming in, it is something that people really need to at least know about Uganda's tourism sector. But of course, Uganda puts itself in a position of always putting in more money in Uganda's tourism sector, especially the ministry, the government, even with, for example, the Explore Uganda Uganda brand, which replaced the Visit Uganda promotion brand, which was mainly to drive the economy. And of course, for those who are actually wondering what happened with the Visit Uganda, the Visit Uganda was mainly a campaign that was to promote Uganda's tourism. So by promoting Uganda's tourism using the Visit Uganda, it was mainly to see that the key players, especially the local tourism industries, and then you look at, let's say, schools pushing for such a brand. We had artists pushing for the Visit Uganda brand. It was more like a promotion, as you can see, the Visit Rwanda. Then besides that, you never know whether it reached or it met its particular projections that they had actually made at the start of the project. However, what we do know now, we currently have the Explore Uganda brand. However, there is something wrong with the tourism industry, especially when it comes to the promotion. Because by the look of things, some of the private sector players have no idea of the Explore Uganda initiative. And then sometimes when the Explore Uganda initiative is being pushed, sometimes a few members of the Uganda Tourism Board are part of it. I think we've all been able to see all these interactions on social media, especially Twitter, where some of the key social media, influencers, we've seen some of these particular tourism ambassadors in the country, then the private sector players in the industry, pushing for one unity from the Uganda Tourism Board, as well as the Explore Uganda and brand, as well as the Ministry of Tourism, plus these particular sector players, especially those in the private sector, to at least see that if we are to boost tourism, and of course see a recovery past this 2.7 trillion shillings, we need to at least make sure that every stakeholder is engaged. Of course, if we mention stakeholders, we're mentioning people who have lodges, we're mentioning people with hotels, we're mentioning people with tour vans or vehicles, name it. We're mentioning people who receive tourists from the airport. We're mentioning travel agents in the country who always attract and, of course, who do the negotiations on behalf of the other players before the tourist lands at the airport. So these are all stakeholders within the industry. And as we give you details regarding Uganda's tourism sector, I want to believe that everyone, especially those who are players of the tourism industry, are very much aware of the fact that the sector can contribute greatly to the economy. I've seen, because when you look at Rwanda's economy and the tourism industry have been playing a pivotal role in the last 5 years. The Rwanda government has been putting in a lot of money in the tourism sector, and the money that they've actually put in, so President Kagame invests heavily in football clubs. There's the PST, there is Arsenal, and if you're to look back in the 5 years, they have been earning billions of dollars as a return on investment. So that shows you how important it is to set up a brand. Now, Rwanda has Visit Rwanda. Of course, South Africa has also got Visit South Africa. Uganda, which had Visit Uganda, has now switched options to Explore Uganda at the end of the day. So those are some of the key things that you need to know about Uganda's tourism industry. But the report was revealed yesterday by the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. Before, there were also the Uganda Wildlife Center officials and the board, as well as the Tourism Association and other key stakeholders in Uganda's tourism and hospitality industry. But of course, the industry is picking up slowly, but however, picking up steady fast, if I should say. It may not be moving on rapidly in recovery, but the chances are high that hopefully 2024, it will be back to pre-pandemic levels or even more. So that's it for our first morning update here on Smart Means Business. But now we head into the press review this morning. All right, now with the press review, we have the Daily Monitor and the New Vision. As according to the Daily Monitor, districts lose billions in massive pay scam, according to the Daily Monitor this morning. According to some of the losses, 19 billion shillings of money has been lost in ineligible staff. Government lost 19 billion paid to 609 staff in 129 districts who used forged documents to access the government payroll. Then besides that, 3.8 billion was paid to 2,355 individuals in 75 districts in form of salary, pension and gratuity. Then besides that, there was also underpayment as 8,347 employees and pensioners in 117 districts were robbed of 24.9 billion shillings due to underpayment. Then besides that, there was something to do with wrong salary scales as government lost 2.9 billion in 108 districts. That is due to overpayments and irregular salary scales. That is also another detail according to the Daily Monitor. So 2.9 billion was in wrong salary scales. People weren't supposed to receive money. I don't know how they received it though. So that is in here according to what is coming in from the Daily Monitor. Then in the other segment of business, Stanbic Bank has announced record profit jump. This has well been part of our news recap this morning at 6:30. And then the Iron Sheets protesters are facing charges, according to what the Daily Monitor has highlighted. Also in the other news, Uganda and Kenya have signed a trade deal. Which trade deal is that one? And of course, there are also some key social media movements that are actually showing how Uganda is now open, or rather how Kenya is now open to receiving Uganda's powdered milk, to be more particular, Lato milk powder. And as we definitely look at this, over 20 government agencies failed gender and equity tests. This is another report coming in from the Daily Monitor this morning, as there is a breakdown of districts which have lost billions in pay scam. Where did the money go and which districts were affected? That is what is being highlighted here in the Daily Monitor this morning. Now, besides the Daily Monitor, with me, of course, I also got the New Vision newspaper. And with the New Vision is that there is a standoff. 6 bishops defy church as Archbishop Kazimba writes to government. Then also, Stanbic Bank has paid 270 billion shillings in taxes, having released their annual report, their annual performance report yesterday. That is after announcing their record profit jump. Then in the other news in the world of investment is that President Museveni and former Austrian Chancellor have met to discuss more relations, especially bilateral relations and trade. All right, on standby this morning is Andrew Barije, who is on ground to give us a little bit more of a scale up at the John Babiha Avenue, that is around the fairway traffic lights, to give us more of the to observe the traffic atmosphere and pretty much give us what is happening before you kickstart off your day. Which route would be better for you to use, especially those who actually use the Acacia Avenue, of course those coming in from Mulago and all those particular areas stretching to Kampala. Andrew Barije.
Thank you very much, Jerm. And of course, today we are just right here, standing at the fairway lights traffic, getting to observe the traffic congestion atmosphere in this area. But of course, according to the overall view, since we came in here before we came to have this broadcast, it was more of, it's a little bit calm. It's not as really congested as compared to other days, but definitely we shall be observing, because sometimes depends on the routes. The different routes seem to be okay, others seem to be overly congested, but definitely you can sum up the entire average of the congestion in here. It's a little bit mild. It's not really so much congested. And any person that is coming to use this very junction and you're heading to the different destinations, chances are high that actually you will be in position to reach in time. Now, starting down here and taking a look at the John Babiha Avenue, the route connecting all the way that is to the Acacia. It seems to be a little bit very, it's free as such. Of course, definitely when you look at the vehicles coming in there, it seems to be like a very thick fleet of them. But surprisingly, after they are being released in a space of about 5 minutes, it's a little free. It's moving as such, despite the heavy line compared to there. So people coming in from Kamocha, of course, connecting all the way to Kanjocha Street, coming all this side and you're going to pass via the Fairway Traffic Lights Junction and head that is to the different destinations, it's quite okay, and you will be in position to actually reach in time. Now, according to what I told you, there was a huge line of vehicles, but once they were released in a way, before you know it, it's quite a free lane as such. So definitely the people that, of course, coming in all the way, some are heading to areas like Nakasero, some are proceeding all the way to Nile Avenue, heading towards Garden City and proceed to other destinations. Now they are in position to actually get there in the appropriate time and execute what they ought to execute in the given period of time. Definitely, according to the look of things in here, you get to realize that, of course, there are pedestrians using the very route. Quite so many borders, according to my observation in here, despite the fact that, you know, some of these areas are much more of corporate areas, not of residential, and very not so many people really be moving on all around, like all around. So that is the situation like we are trying to observe in this very scenario. Now, taking a look at the route connecting all the way, that is to Wandegea. Of course, now we're talking about the Mulago roundabout coming in here. You find that it's quite a free lane as such, despite the fact that the vehicles, just like the way you saw the John Babiha Avenue, it's the same scenario in here. When the vehicles are held, there is quite a long line, but once they are set free, you find that it's free. So if you're coming from Wandegea still, and you plan to connect to this route, yes, chances are high that you will be able to reach in time. That is in case you're heading to Garden City, you're heading to areas like Chibuli, and you're planning definitely to make just a straight line all the way from Mulago up to here. Yes, you will be able to reach in time. Despite, of course, the vehicles are held, but it's not, you know, as that scary. In other words, there is not really a heavy congestion of vehicles, despite the fact that they're being held for quite a few intervals. So that is the situation in here as we are observing. Of course, the traffic officers are making sure that everything is put in line. Now, let's take a look at the Sezibwa route. Definitely vehicles coming in from Nakasero, heading to the different destinations, are the ones that majorly use that route. Now, definitely it's always a free lane. Yes, as we are still observing in there, vehicles held, but they are set free, not so many people heading in there. We know Nakasero to be a very corporate place. Yeah, I think it explains why there are not so many vehicles really heading in there, and it explains why there is a free lane and no congestion limited in there. Maybe a few that pass there are using it as a route, but to link to town and other destinations to execute the business. So that is the observation as we are getting to see it in here. It seems to be quite very free. So for any person that probably you plan to use the Sezibwa route and connect to the Fairway Junction here and head to other destinations, well, chances are high that you will be able to reach in time. Now let's wind this up as we take a look at the street. Of course, the route connecting to Nile Avenue, all the way from Nile Avenue, coming in here, connecting back, of course, all straight to the Mulago roundabout. Of course, realize majority of the people that are using that route, definitely they are coming in from areas probably like Chibuli, you know, some probably came in from Bugolobi and they passed via the Ginger Road traffic lights, so they came all the way here and they are proceeding to the different destinations. Definitely it's free, and in case you are such a person and you're coming in from Bugolobi, you're coming from Chibuli, and you're passing via the Fairway Junction and you're heading probably to Wandegea, you're heading probably to Nakasero, yes, you will be able to reach in time. It's quite a good time for you. It's a right route for you to actually use in case you're going to work or execute any business-related activity. You will be able to actually reach in time. Yes, so vehicles, of course, held in a short interval, but despite the fact that held in that time, it's very interesting that it's not very thick. Few borders here, not so many, like as compared to other junctions. Yeah, quite very free, and definitely the officers making sure that they observe the traffic rules, not causing any havoc or any sort of accident around
this morning around the Fairway Junction, that is at the John Babiha Avenue, and of course trying to give you a little bit of what is happening currently at the same place. For you, if you're coming to the city and you're going to use that route, how best can you definitely get in town on time, or to your business on time? Or if at all you have a meeting around Kololo, that is rather around Nakasero, Kololo, and of course the neighboring places, Garden City, the Nile Avenue areas, you can easily see that it's not that busy for a day. It's Thursday. Normally Thursdays don't have a lot of traffic jam as much as Mondays and Fridays here in Kampala. But well, besides that, now we're heading into a break. But as we're heading into a break, remember to invest and grow your investments with Zabu. Zabu, which is a platform by Altex East Africa, does say do something new. And obviously, as you do something new, it is as much as you can definitely get. Zabu says, my money, my future. Altex East Africa, do something new. Remember, the markets on the platform open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Please do note that these markets are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, my money, my future. Altex East Africa, do something new. And okay, from there, you need to know that these markets are only fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, grow your investments with the platform. After the break, I will be returning with Karibu East Africa and the latest from the SMB International News. Stick around with me.
Smart24 Driving Business.
The Uganda Development Corporation is a government-owned